And I think we are live. Hello to everybody again on our YouTube channel. I would like to introduce Denis to you, and he will kick off the session.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Manu, to have me here. The last session before the summer break. Today, I will give an introduction to Power BI for Azure users, and I'm happy that so many people still came, although the summer break is close. Let's do a quick introduction of myself. So, my name is Denis Selimovic. I work at Trivadis as a senior consultant. And last year, I started my own blog about Power BI and everything around the Power Platform. The blog is called whatthefact.bi. I'm a Power BI user since the release of Power BI in 2015. Back then, I was a little bit lucky. I was in a project where the customer really wanted to work with Power BI, although the software was just released 2 months earlier. And back then, 2015, we also didn't really have a clue, but we said, okay, we will do it. So we had to learn all the Power BI stack. But we also, of course, were not aware that Power BI is starting like this. And since 2015, actually, more or less, I'm only doing Power BI projects on a daily basis. Together with my colleague back then, that also was part of the project, we created a Power BI course in my company. And now this year, we added a second course. The course is about DAX, what is the programming language of Power BI. And at least the Power BI course is one of the most successful in my company, what I'm very proud about. And the DAX course hopefully will be soon. In general, if you have any questions, just ask, post them in the chat. I think Manu will take a look a little. I mean, if it's direct questions about something I'm explaining, if you have questions about something totally different or general questions, I would be happy if we can do them at the end. From my side, I don't have appointments today, so we can discuss all the questions afterwards. All right. Then what am I going to tell you today? First, we have the introduction. This is what I just did. The next topic is what, in general, is business intelligence? I mean, it's a snappy word, but what does it really mean? Afterwards, we will discuss what is Microsoft Power BI. As you can imagine already, spoiler alert, it's the product of Microsoft. And afterwards, we will discuss what it has to do with Azure. As I said, questions, please, always when you have questions and they fit to the topic. Otherwise, at the end, we will finish then with a Q&A session. And then let's jump into the topic directly. What is business intelligence? In general, you would say maybe the business is intelligent or something like this, but it's not really that topic. It has more to do with the CIA. Sounds a little funny, but it is like this, because the CIA is the Central Intelligence Agency. And intelligence in business intelligence and also in the CIA doesn't mean intelligence like a human is intelligent. It has a different meaning. And the meaning in these two cases is to systematically analyze data with the purpose of knowledge generation. So for a business, we systematically analyze the data to generate knowledge. So at the end, it's all about gaining knowledge. That's the definition of the intelligence. The definition of business intelligence is then a little different, but very close. For business intelligence, we understand all activities to transform data into information through integration, transformation, and analysis. So all data that we have, internal data, external data, whatever we can get, we want to transform them into information. And why do we want to do this? We want to do this to make better decisions and also predictions for the management and to have better decisions in general. So business intelligence in general is everything that has to do with data to generate knowledge and information to make better decisions and predictions. So you can relax now. This was the little dry part, but I wanted you to understand at the beginning what is the meaning behind business intelligence. And now we will take a look how this could look like. So in general, when you want to transform data into information, you usually get big amounts of data or very boring amount of data. What could this mean? So, for example, we have one example from a demo case we made. It was with a gas station, a company providing gas stations in Switzerland, and all of the gas tanks, petrol tanks, we had an IoT sensor that was delivering data every 15 minutes. So our data that we received looked like something like this. We have in general some kind of ID, we have a timestamp, we have a product, we have a certain level, how much is available in the tank, how much is the temperature and price, and we added then some forecasting. But this is actually how the data looks. So what can we do now with this? It's a little boring, the data like that. We don't really get any value or information from this sheet, because with 2 million rows, you cannot really say anything about the data. To be fair, we didn't just have the facts, like how much fuel is still in a tank. We also have some master data, of course, like which gas station is it and so on. And at the end, we can combine this with our BI tools and knowledge to get some information, what I will show you now, because this was the result. So as you see, it's not so dry or boring anymore, like just the fact tables. We now see a map in the center with different spots and different colors. On the side, we have a few slices, and on the other side, we have a table with some information. What do we have here? We have all of our gas stations. We have the number of the tank. We have the amount of the tank and the capacity, and we have the forecast how long it will last until the tank is empty. And what we can do now is we can analyze whole Switzerland, or already when we open the file, we see where will the gas be finished soon and where isn't it finished. And for example, if you now take a look, we have here 3 gas stations next to each other. The one, if we click it, is Mano, that has just 0.4 days until it's empty. The next one has 0.7 days, and the next one has 1 day until the gas is empty. So from already just opening the file and taking a look, I get my first information. I have to send somehow some replacement some refill for the gas tank down here in order to not run out of gas. We can, of course, also slice this. So we can say, I'm just interested in the unleaded gas and only in North Switzerland. Then we will get a smaller selection here. Maybe I'm just interested in this area. And then already from the colors, I see which ones are more likely to be empty soon. And with this information and knowledge, I can plan my route. Could do the same for diesel, looks a little different. Maybe I'm more interested in the western part of Switzerland or in the rest. And then I can do my decisions. I can optimize my routes for refilling the gas tanks only by getting the information from one big table and some master data. And that is exactly what BI is all about. Important here is everything is dynamic. So as you've seen already, we can just click on one of the values or on 2, and we will get the information about these gas stations. We can see them on the map. Everything is interactive. The other way around, it's the same. If I click here on the gas station, I will see on my table where it's located. I could also change my amount. I don't want to see the ones that are empty in 3 days. I just want to see the ones who are empty in the next 2 days or that are in 1 day. So I just see really the emergencies where I have to interact today. And like this, I can do better decisions by analyzing my data and visualizing them in an easy, understandable way for a human. Good. Then what can we do to do better decisions? I mean, what we see now was just that we added the data to our data model. We combined the data, we could slice it, like doing a selection. We could look at the data from different views, like to dice it. But actually, in order to get the best information, we want to do everything that is possible technically at the moment. This means we want to use machine learning. The algorithms are better than human decisions. In the same area as predictive maintenance. If we see patterns from the past, we could already change something before a machine is breaking, something similar. We have artificial intelligence. We have language analysis. I don't have to go through big tables and analyze them myself. I can use the technique. And of course, also data mining, what is a huge area. As we're here in the Azure group, I think many of you already heard some of these terms or say, this is exactly what I'm doing. Yes, all of this at the end should fulfill a purpose. And in business intelligence, this is exactly where everything comes together. You use all of these nice, modern, fancy techniques at the end to get an advantage for knowledge and for information. And at the end to do better decisions. And with better decisions, save costs, optimize my target or my value. That is what business intelligence is all about. I can already say we will come back to these things later. But at the moment, we ask ourselves, what exactly is Microsoft Power BI? As you can imagine, or as I already said, it is another BI tool. It's not the only one. There are other tools on the market. There are the good ones on the market. There is Tableau. There is IBM has Cognos. Microsoft has Power BI. There are a lot of different tools. Microsoft is one of the leaders. This is the Gartner, the Magic Quadrant for analytics and BI platforms. For everyone who doesn't know it, it's the company Gartner is putting the different companies into different categories. We have two axes. The x-axis here is the completeness of vision, and the y-axis is the ability to execute. Now, this sounds a little fancy, but what does it even mean? Ability to execute is like a bunch of criteria, and to summarize it in my words, it's just what can the software do. And the completeness of vision is, with my words again, where is the software going? Like, do I expect many changes of the company? Is it of the product? Is it meant to change something in the future? Able to adapt? Are there other products that are working well together? All of this stuff. And Microsoft was put by Gartner in the top right corner. What is the section of the leader? And they are there since a few years. Actually, I forgot, I think it's like 4 or 5 years Microsoft is now there. And this has a few reasons. One is the Microsoft Power BI has a monthly update. So there are 12 updates a year. The second is you can really start from self-service BI up to analyzing huge amounts of data, big data, all possible. And last but not least, it's very well integrated with Azure. And I think this is one of the main reasons why Microsoft is at this position and why other companies, for example, like Tableau or Qlik, have a difficult life to go to get there because they just don't have the infrastructure Microsoft has. Good. Then what is even Microsoft Power BI? In a nutshell, we have a software. It's called Power BI Desktop. It's a program for your computer. It's the one I just showed the report of the fuel station. The file format is called PBIX, like you know it maybe from Excel is XLSX, and Word is DocX. This is PBIX. And in this whole file, you can do all the BI magic that you need in order to get the results you want. So basically, in BI, you have 3 steps, and also you have them in Power BI. The first step is to prepare the data, what means to extract the data from your sources. You want to transform them, and then you want to load them to your data model. In Power BI, there is a module called Power Query, and Power Query is exactly the ETL tool. ETL is extraction, transformation, and load. You can load all the data, you can transform it, and then load it into your file. We will show this I will show this in a minute. The second is you create a data model from the data you loaded to your Power BI file. What means you have relationships. You can imagine like foreign keys in a relational database. The only difference is that these relationships are always active, so I don't have to do joins and things like this. It's implicit, they are always there. So whatever I slice and dice, the relationships are always there. And the third one, this is what we want to get at the end, is the data visualization. So after I loaded my data, I prepared it, I created my data model, I want to visualize my data like we did it right now. And all of this is together in one product, and it's Power BI Desktop. What else does Power BI offer? There's not only Power BI Desktop, there's also the Power BI service. So everything you did now in your report, you can at one point upload to the cloud to the Power BI service. What means I need the Power BI Desktop to create my file, but I don't need it anymore to view my report. So everything I showed you now, we could also take a look in the browser. I can open the report in the cloud, and I can do all the interactive stuff I just did in the Power BI Desktop file. I can mark things, I can slice things, I can filter things, I can do all the changes in the cloud. And later we will see also how the Azure services work here. But just in general, keep in mind, there are 2 things. One is Power BI Desktop, and one is the Power BI service in the cloud that you can use mainly to consume the data. Power BI Desktop is mainly to create it. Good. Now I will show what we can do. So I opened an empty Power BI file. It's totally blank. Also, all the other areas that we will take a look are empty. And the first strength from my point of view is the amount of data sources that you can load with Power BI. Power BI has more than 150 data sources. Here are all, but let's go category by category. So you can load all kinds of files from Excel workbooks, text, CSV, XML, JSON, Parquet files, SharePoint folders, general folders. Of course, you can load data from databases, starting with SQL Server, Access, IBM, Sybase, Teradata, SAP, Amazon, Impala, Snowflake, you name it. I think it's more or less everything that you need. It's also connected with the Power Platform, of course, as it's part of the Power Platform, so you can connect to data sets that you have already online. So if I create now my gas station report, and now I want to do a second report based on the same data, I can just connect to the existing data. I can use data flows, Dataverse, what was the common data model, and so on. Now for you, I think mainly interesting is the Azure Services, and it's offering a lot of services, starting from, of course, Azure SQL Database, but also Synapse analytics and services. I can connect to a blob storage, to a table storage, Cosmos DB. I can connect to a data lake, then the big data stuff, HD Insight, Azure Cost Management, if I want to do analysis about the cost management in Azure, Databricks. I have here a lot of possibilities that I can directly import into Power BI. We will see other options later. Other services are online services, so I can connect to a SharePoint list, to Salesforce, Google Analytics, yeah, Asana, whatever you need. Or if this is not enough, I have other connections. For example, I can connect to a website. I can grab data from Wikipedia. I can also load, for example, a REST API with a web feature. I can use R script. I can write a Python script. Or if all of that is not enough, I can write my own connectors or download them from the producers. For example, Facebook ads, Facebook pages, Instagram, they're custom connectors. So if all of these more than 150 connectors are not enough, you can also download from other providers. We will, for this case, just do it easy with a SQL Server database. And we will use our AdventureWorks data model. So we connect now to our data base. We will take the AdventureWorks 2019, and now we can get a preview of the data. For example, if I select the date column, it shows me here a preview. We want that. We also want the customers. We want the geography, the products, and some facts. Let's take the fact internet sales. I think this should do it. And then we can load the data directly, or we can transform the data. If I click on transform, you can see it now. A new window opens. A new window opens, and that is the Power Query editor. This is the tool I was talking about. We have our Power BI desktop. And now within Power BI, we have another tool, Power Query, that also exists for Excel, by the way. And this is loading all of my tables to this program. I can now change and transform data. For example, if I go here to my product table, I don't need my Spanish product name, English product name, French product name. The English maybe I should let. The same we have here for large photos. I don't think we need photos in the database. And then actually all my descriptions I don't really need. Arabic, Hebrew, Thai description. I will not do analysis on the description, so I can just remove them. I can say remove columns. Also the related tables I don't need, I can say remove columns this way. And like this, I can transform my data. Not just this, I can also do a lot more. I can replace values, I can unpivot columns, I can pivot columns, I can extract values, for example, the things before the dash. I can split them, I can format them, I can add additional columns. I can do many, many things in this Power Query editor. Once I'm finished, I can click close and apply. The Power Query editor is now connecting to your data source, is loading the data, is transforming it. In the background, it's also changing the format a little bit, and it will load all the data to our current data model. In this window, you will always see the status. Now we will soon see how it starts loading the rows. 18,000 are loaded here. The fact table is the biggest with 60,000 rows. And we already have all of our data here. You see on the side now, we have now our fields, what are actually our tables. If I want, I can take a look in the middle tab here to get an idea about my data. Usually takes 1-2 seconds until I see the data. And at the end, I have the relationships that are, when it's coming from a SQL database, it's taking the foreign key constraints. So I already have a data model, and I have here different relationships between different tables. So what does this mean? I can now start already analyzing. And this I can do here with the visuals. So I can, for example, start with a bar chart. I can take my sales amount and want to analyze it by date. So I take my date column in here, and now I can already see how my company was performing in sales during the different years. I don't have to do this. I can also use other visuals. I, for example, can analyze by product. Let's say product color. And let's take again the sales amount. So now I can see how much was sold by color. It's a little confusing, I realize, when the black is blue. and the red is purple, but I think you get the idea. A third visual I will use is the table visual. Let's take some customer data. For example, first name and last name. Then I want to see the order quantity, how much did they order? And I also want to see maybe a sales number, sales order number, that I then can find the specific data that I want. The nice thing is now everything is interactive. So if I want to see what this order contained, I can just select it, and I can see a little bit. It's in 2013. Here I didn't see much, so this was maybe not the best choice. But if I want to, for example, to see who ordered in 2013, I can just mark one visual, and all the others will adapt. So we see here all the customers, they ordered in 2013. This visual also adapted, so I see the red products. There were not many sold in 2013. Probably they were sold out at this point, or we don't produce red products anymore. I can also change this. I want to, for example, see when black products are produced, so I get here an idea. Or let's take it the other way around. Red products we mainly sold in 2011. And this is actually the whole magic about Power BI. I can be totally dynamic. I can change everything by just clicking and connecting the data. By the way, you can also, of course, use slices. So if, for example, you just want to have people from a specific area, you could slice to Germany. All the other visuals would adapt. Canada, Australia, United States, you name it, and then I can still continue with my analysis. Good. That was a small introduction into Power BI, how I can load data, how I can analyze the data in a dynamic way. What is the magic about Power BI? Why is it so popular? One of the things I already said are the more than 150 different data sources. And to understand it a little better, I made a small graphic. So in the middle, we have our Power BI desktop file. We have different kind of data sources. Let's say SQL Server, SharePoint, CSV, and Google Analytics. We have our Power Query, what we've just seen within Power BI. And the magic that happens now is that everything is transformed into a table. So at the end, for my analysis, it doesn't matter at all if it's coming from Google Analytics or if it's a database, a table within a database. At the end, for me, it's all a table in Power Query and in Power BI. And like this, I can mix and match all the data from these more than 150 different data sources. I can analyze them, I can combine them. And this is a really, really big strength. Other tools are really struggling with this point. And Microsoft made it so easy to import and transform the data here. Good. Also, yeah, let's quickly summarize it. So what is Microsoft Power BI? At the end, it's a state-of-the-art tool. So you can really use it to analyze any kind of data. As I said, it has a lot of connectors every month. There are more and more. What I would still recommend is to do the preparation, if possible, in a pre-system. Like if you can already aggregate things in a SQL Server, in a data lake, or so on, just go ahead. I mean, it makes it easier for Power BI. And it's really great also to analyze log and usage analytics. For example, what is quite common is also to analyze the usage of Power BI with Power BI. But in general, you can analyze everything. You can also analyze live data. You can really have no you have no limit. Let's say it like this. The strength of Power BI is you can start like we did with importing the data, but at the end you have barely any limits. You can go up to a corporate level using Azure Analysis Service. You can use incremental refresh to just load small parts of data if you have more data. You can switch to live data. You have so many possibilities to analyze your data. So I don't think there's something you cannot really analyze. Good. Then I hope I gave you an overview already about Power BI. Now the question, what does it have to do with Azure? Actually a lot. Let's take our graphic from before. We have Power BI desktop and we have Power BI service in the cloud. What can we do now here? First of all, we should enlarge a little bit our cloud because a few things are coming. I mean, Microsoft has as a strength the Azure environment, and Power BI service is also part of the Azure environment. So this whole data set online is hosted in Azure Analysis Service. It's when it's not used, it's saved in blob storage or I think in a database. You have or in a data warehouse. All of this is also part of Azure. And Microsoft made it very easy to use all of the Azure technologies to get new insights. For example, machine learning you could use. You can use text analytics, cognitive services, analysis services, data lake. You can use generation 1 and also 2. You could use Synapse analytics or also stream analytics. All of this is natively integrated with Power BI service. If you, for example, use any of these tools, let's say stream analytics, and you got some data like IoT data, you prepare them, and at the end you want to stream them to Power BI services with stream analytics. At this point, you don't need Power BI desktop. You can stream them directly to Power BI service and create your report online. You can also use Power BI desktop, or you can use other services with Power BI desktop, what I will show now. So for our example from before, I will now duplicate the page. At the end, if you remember from what we wanted to achieve with Power BI is to get the best insights and to gain the best information. Usually I'm starting, when I'm analyzing, I have a few questions or problems. So let's take again our bar chart from before. We can do a drill down, let's say to year 2012. And here we have the values between different quarters. We could also go down more. The second quarter, okay, here we have a raise. But if I ask myself, why is the second quarter so much lower than the first one? I'm really wondering. Of course, I could start my analysis from here myself. But one of the advantages here is I can just click with the right mouse button and can say analyze and then explain the decrease. What is happening now is Microsoft or Power BI is sending this data to the AI service, and it's trying to find an explanation on why this happened. In our case now, it says road 250, this is a bike, accounted for the majority of the decrease among model name, offsetting the increase of mountain 200. Okay, let's see it here in data. We had our value from the first quarter. We had an increase of mountain 200 and also of road 650 and all the others. And then we have a big decrease, especially here of the road 250 and the road 150. So if I'm analyzing now, I can already see why my second quarter is a lot lower than the first one. It's more or less because of these three products. Now, in a real, I mean, this is adventure work, so it's fake data, but in a real life scenario, I can, of course, I could do the analysis myself, but like this, I can very fast get insights that maybe would take me a long time to get to this result. If I don't like the way it's displayed, I could also change it to other ways of displaying it, but usually the artificial part here is doing a pretty good job explaining why things happen. If I like this, I can just use the arrow down here to add this visual to my report. I can also take a look. It has other explanations. The decrease among color red. So this could also be a part. We sold a lot less of the color red. Probably it's the other bikes are all in red because I think the amount they are more or less could fit. It's another explanation that could be. And like this, it's doing the analysis more and more, and it's explaining a few things that could be. You could also rate them. You could say this here is valuable or less valuable. And like this, I can get more insights into my data. Another thing I could do is if I want to see, for example, why is this increasing? I can also say explain the increase. It will do the same analysis again, and it will try to explain why this happened. I will not go into this now, it's more or less the same. And here we have then our visual that we just created. Now for the year 2012. Let's see, we could go up. Also here it's totally interactive. And we can see it from different point of views. Another visual that would help or helps us with artificial intelligence is the key influencer visual. Here I want to see, are there any main reasons why something happens? To explain it a little better, I want to say, I want to analyze my sales amount, and I want to explain it by, now we can take a look, by what could we explain it? We could maybe explain it by, I don't know what makes sense. Let's try again product color. It's running the analysis now in the background. And it says now the sales average increased by 1 million, I think, when the color is red or silver. What means, we see it here also on the side. I can also just show the influencers. What means maybe we should decide this or take a look at this data if we want to increase our sales. If I want to see where we lost, I can also take a look at the colors that they don't make sense. So, for example, white is not really a very common or wanted color. So maybe I should avoid new products in this color and focus more on colors in red or silver. As I get from my area, from my data already, the information I need. And you've seen it, it's done within a few clicks, really, just 2 clicks, and I have the data. Also, automatically, it's doing some segments, like the segment 1 is, for example, the color is red, and then I see my sales compared to the overall sales. And like this, I can do easily very nice analytics and insights. Another thing is smart narrative. So actually, the visual is analyzing all the data I have at the moment in my page, and is trying to describe this in a text. So the sales amount increased the most when color was red. 3 other factors also caused sales amount to increase. Explore them while in the key influencer visual. So I also don't have to do the work anymore to really write a text. Power BI can do that. One last visual I want to show is the Q&A feature. Where is it? Here is it. If I really have no idea about my data, but I want to just like query the data, I can just ask a question. So I can say, show sales amount by city. Should press enter maybe. And now it's recognizing it. Now it shows me all the sales amount by the specific cities. So maybe in London and Paris, we should open another store because we make the biggest sales there. I could also add something per year, per city per year. It takes today a little while. And I see it also per city and per year, my sales. Okay, these are now a little too much, but I don't need that. I could also change it, could say as this bar chart I have, so as line chart, I could say, or as matrix, then it would create a table. And at the end, if I want to apply this, I could just use it and transform it to a standard visual and can use it in my report. If you want to do something like this, you can also just ask for the show me the top 10 products. Like this, you can easily get your results. today it's a little slow. I guess this is because of the streaming at the same time. But I think you got the idea of the Q&A feature. Good. One other thing I want to show you is the text analytics. These are now the visuals that I directly integrated in Power BI that use the Azure stack. So they use machine learning, they use all the things like this. A lot of them are also directly integrated into Power Query. So I will do another example. I load now the ratings from Amazon of Star Wars: The Rise of the Skywalker. These are the reviews from the movie on Amazon. Now it's loading the data. I see here the date, author, verified, yes, and so on. I want to load that. We have to merge now two columns, actually the title and the body, to have one column that because it can just analyze one column. And let's say review would be my title. Then it's a little like Excel. I can say combined with a hyphen in the middle, and I take the body like this. I create a new column, and now directly from Power BI I could use Azure Machine Learning. So if I create a machine learning model in Azure ML, I have to log in, of course. I don't think I created a model now, but if I created a model, I can now directly apply Azure Machine Learning models here in Power BI, Azure ML functions, and can use them directly during my analysis. Yeah, I don't think I have any, but we could use it directly in Power BI. What we want to do now, we can just analyze our text with the Azure Text Analytics feature. We'll load now or connect to the Azure Text Analytics blog. And then we can either detect the language if this is our target. We could extract key phrases. I tried this up front. I have to be honest, it's extracting too much. So we will have then for each line, we have another 20 phrases or words that it's extracting. But like this, I think you can get an idea what the reviews are about, if they are positive or not. But this you can also do with a sentiment. So you can say, based on the review, language is English, I want to analyze my data. Now on the side, you see there was a new step inserted. Now it's sending all the data to the Azure service. I have to ignore the privacy levels, because now data from my CSV is sent to the cloud. And will be analyzed now. And then we will, based on the review itself, we will get a score sentiment if the review is positive, more positive, or more likely negative. I mean, in Amazon, we have already the ratings, so we know if someone is giving 5 stars, he's happy, and with 1 star, not. But this is very useful if you don't have a feature like this. And at the end, we have our sentiment. Let's check. Let's check if it kind of correlates with the rating. So he gave a rating of 5, and we scored a sentiment of 1. That makes sense. He gave a rating of 1, and we nearly got 1. This doesn't make any sense. But this here makes sense again. We got a rating of 1, and here it's 0.00. The same here and here. Yeah, continues like this, the bad ratings. Like this, we can get an idea, if we don't have a rating, what the people, or in this case, the product, how it is rated. And we've seen it, we could do this very easy. We have to press one button, we have to use one setting, and we can do that. And this gives really, really nice insights. If I don't have any idea about Azure Text Analytics, I can do it very easy this way. I click on close and apply, and the data is loaded directly into Power BI. And then I could continue here, as it's from now on, it's only a table. I could now analyze more about all of my Power BI reviews in Power BI about my reviews of Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalkers. All right. This was a small example, or a few small examples with Visual that are integrated in Power BI that I used to show something. But also at the same time, you can use native Azure functions. Also the machine learning, for example, you can implement online. So a lot of Azure services you can nowadays use to really implement them directly in Power BI. You can also, of course, implement them. Yes, he's finished now. You can, of course, also implement them in one of the pre-aggregated systems. For example, you could use them in a SQL Server or something similar. Good. What else can we do? We can also do it the other way around. So there are also Azure services that they can use Power BI. Now we had Power BI that used Azure services. The most famous example here is probably Synapse Analytics. It's actually the whole Power, in my words again, the whole Power BI suite, but in Azure. So you can load the data with scripts, you can transform the data, and at the end you can, it's keeping the data also. You can query up to unbelievable amount of files. For example, in blob storage, you can query with a select from and big amounts, and then I can do the analysis directly in Azure Synapse. So I can connect it here to Power BI. I can create a data set, and based on this data set, I can create different reports. And you see here already, we are in Azure Synapse, but it is native Power BI. See here the visuals, the fields, it's exactly the same like in the browser. Also, you can use here your Q&A feature that we just used, key influencers that I quickly showed. And you can use all of your Azure features that we just had in Azure Synapse. Right, this was the short summary or introduction to Power BI. The summary we'll do now. For me, Power BI is really a great alternative to analyze anything you want, especially with Azure. The integration is amazing. It has possibilities that they were not possible years ago. And I'm doing Power BI now since 2015. At the beginning, it was just about the basics. It was like importing data. Actually, in 2015, it was things like changing fonts was not possible, or changing the size of a font was not possible. And after they did the basics, more and more of these features are coming. So the integration, from what I experienced in the last years between Azure and Power BI, is getting closer and closer. And I think that's really a great thing, because you don't have usually these possibilities with other tools that are not so much integrated with a platform like Azure. And for me, that's one of the biggest advantages. Then from the pricing, if you want to use Power BI Desktop, it's totally free. So also, if you just want to do small analysis like another reviews or log files or something like this, you can just download Power BI Desktop totally for free and can do all your analysis. The Power BI service, so the Azure or the online platform, is also for free, but you just have a workspace. And online you work in so-called workspaces. You just have your private workspace, so you can just upload your reports for yourself. The moment you want to collaborate with colleagues or other people, you have to get a pro account. And the pro account at the moment is 9.80 francs per month. In a lot of, if it's for your company, of course, in a lot of subscription, there are already some licenses included. So maybe take a look with your admin. Exactly, I already said, it uses existing Azure technologies to gain knowledge. And as I also said, the technology is getting more and more integrated. And especially in the last years, and there were some previews about new technologies, more insights. They will work better and better, but they're not ready yet. But I've seen a few previews, and it looks really amazing already. Also, the other way around, Power BI is more and more integrated into Azure Services. So also this is where you will meet Power BI more and more often. All right. That was it more or less at the end. From my side, do you have any questions? Are there any questions, Manu?
Thanks a lot, Denis. That was really interesting to see. I think we learned a lot of stuff. I'm taking a look at the chat. If anybody of the people listening wants to ask a question, now would be the time. And we'll just give them a couple of minutes because the live stream is lagging a bit behind. I think if there are any questions about Power BI, people can get in touch with you, Denis. I assume that's why you're sharing your credentials.
Absolutely, yes. You can contact me with email, either the one from the blog or my company email, or you can connect with me on Twitter or also LinkedIn. I think the link was in the description of the meetup. Didn't put it now on the presentation, but also with his name, you will not find so many Denis Selimovic with Power BI. So feel free to contact me.
Okay, perfect. I just posted the link for the slides and the recording that I will publish within the next couple of days. And you can download these at speakerdeck.com/Azure Zurich. I don't think there are any questions at the moment, so I would like to say thank you to you, Denis. Thank you to everybody who was watching, and I hope to see you next time and wish you all a great evening. Bye-bye.
Have a great evening. Thanks. Bye.